You're not in good hands with the big insurance company. But after 30 years of being like a good neighbor to the Central Valley, the law office of Mark Nelson is a rock in the community that fights for those who cannot fight for themselves. Mark Nelson is on your side.
A local law firm that fights the insurance company bullies. That's as progressive as it gets.
Go to marknelsonlawoffices.com for a free consultation.
This evening at 6:02, our communication center received a report that there were vehicles on fire in this general area. Our first arriving crews found several vehicles under a carport that were on fire that had already exposed the buildings that you see behind us. We had 2 apartment complexes on fire upon their arrival. So far, these units are a total loss. We have 8 units, 4 in each apartment complex, that because of the nature of the fire and the firefight, the buildings are a total loss. The time that this fire came in, everyone was up and about, and it was easier to evacuate these buildings than in nighttime conditions where they might be sleeping. It was fortunate that our crews could arrive here quickly. Engine 7, this is their first due district, so they're able to get here. But this was an all-hands fire for us. This went to a 5th alarm. We had 54 firefighters here, 12 engines and 4 trucks. That's our entire fire department respond to this. And because we can get people here quickly, we were able to get to the fire and get it under control in relatively about an hour. So for a period of time, we had no Stockton units available inside the city, and we had to bring in mutual aid partners from the outside to cover the 911 calls that were taking place within our city limits. During this same time, we had this fire behind us. Another fire had broken off in our South Stockton, which those units then handled. We're working with the American Red Cross to find a placement for all these individuals. That process is still underway. We have about 8 families, roughly 30 people who are looking for a placement somewhere. The fire is under investigation. We have our fire investigation team here that's going through the process of looking at the possible origin and the cause of the fire. We have PG&E here who's mitigating the electrical and the gas concerns. Right now, those are no longer a concern for us. They have that part taken care of. They'll be here throughout the night figuring out how to restore services to the rest of the community. We also have our building department and code enforcement here looking at the structural integrity of these buildings to make sure that no other accidents can take place. We're going to be here for a while. The fire likes to hide in hidden void spaces, and so we'll have what's called a fire watch here, who's ensuring that the fire doesn't build back up. We're also going to have our investigation team here throughout the night looking for those problems, and also our partnering agencies like PG&E will be here restoring services to the rest of the community and making sure that this building is no longer a hazard. We did have a couple firefighters that we had to put through our rehab process just from the heat of the day. They were just hydration issues. They did not have to be transported to the hospital, but we did have to pull them from the firefight and put them through a rehab. We originally had a fire that we attacked in this general area that we are at, and the fire had communicated to the buildings you see just to the east of me. The building that's on the south side, we had an interior firefight where crews were operating on all levels of that building, trying to save property, people, and contain it to that building of origin. The fire building to the north, there came a point where the conditions in the building were so extreme, the heat was so hot and the building was so compromised that we had to evacuate those people from that building and start what's an exterior firefight, a defensive operation within an elevated master street. You know, the Stockton Fire Department does its very best to protect the community, and it's times like this where it's all hands. We brought everybody here to save this building and this property, and it's always a good reminder when you see the fire engine coming through town, pull to the right and stop so we can get our resources here as quickly as possible. You know, every second counts, and getting each crew here in a timely fashion allows us to save as much property and life as possible. You know, it's always a good time as a reminder to check your smoke detectors in your house, make sure you don't have debris about your property that could cause other ignition sources, and just be fire aware. Have a plan, have an exit drill so you get out of your house if there is smoke or a report of a fire alarm.